So with Lionsgate once again vowing to rule the horror genre, what does that mean for Jigsaw 2 or Saw 9? Well, let's talk about it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. That's right guys, today we're once again going to be talking about Lionsgate and their initial vow recently to once again dominate the horror genre. So, as everyone probably already knows, anyone who listens to this channel, anyone who's really up to date with the horror genre in general, you've probably seen a large resurgence in the horror genre as of late, at least with mainstream studio releases in the theaters. I mean, obviously right now, a lot of people would know Blumhouse's logo going into almost every single mainstream horror movie. That has been dominant ever since the Paranormal Activity franchise actually usurped the Saw franchise as the Halloween dominant franchise every single year. And they really have stayed in power even into this day. Even recently, we got to see Platinum Doom vow to actually get back into the horror game after A Quiet Place became a box office sensation and really swept everything earlier this year. But now it seems like Lionsgate, who really was built off the backs of horror movies, especially the Saw franchise, is now yet again vowing to be the dominant force in the horror genre. I'm going to quote Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Burns as he said to Goldman Sachs, "We used to own horror. We're going to own it again." So what does this mean about the Saw franchise going forward? I think it would be an understatement to say that the Saw franchise isn't Lionsgate's biggest horror franchise. We have 8 movies in that long-running horror franchise, and 7 of which have actually gained $100 million at the box office, let alone anything gained from the theme park ride, the escape room, and all other merchandise from that franchise. The series itself has gained almost $20 million short of $1 billion, and let alone the fact that these are actually R-rated, very hard R-rated horror franchise, to the point where YouTube will not let me actually talk about this film without censoring it for their community guidelines. Every time I want to talk about the Saw franchise, it is always flagged because they think it's inappropriate for people wanting to sponsor YouTube videos. This says something. This says something about the legitimacy of the Saw franchise and the gore-centric entertainment that it brings to everyday consumers. And I think this is something that we can get excited about. I don't think that this is Vice Chairman Michael Burns saying that they're going to bring back Jigsaw in a major way. But I do think it means that they're going to be trying their best to recapture what at least appears to be, from the general consumer such as myself, a resurgence in the horror genre as of late. Horror movies have been overperforming for the last couple years. Probably starting at least in 2016, coming to a head in 2017, and definitely continuing in 2018. And if I were to actually sit here and tell you why I believe that's true, I think it's because we live in uncertain times. I've heard people talk about this in scientific studies, saying that if you're stressed, if you're angry, if you want to release aggression, then you don't listen to calming things. You do not watch calming things in order to get that animosity out. You listen to hard metal. You listen to stuff that really kind of irks that same general emotion that you're feeling, because it's a way of cathartic release. And I think that's one of the reasons the horror genre has been doing so well as of late. People these days are scared. They're scared about the future. They're scared about what's going to happen from day to day, month to month, year to year. They don't understand anything on the political spectrum, on their social media platforms, in their day-to-day lives, and they go out seeking these horror movie genres, these horror movie related adventures in order to understand and in order to be a cathartic release for them to get out that fear, experience it firsthand, something staring right back at their face and something they can actually scoff at for the most part and walk away feeling like, oh yeah, that was scary, or that wasn't as scary as I thought, and so I can face every single day. If this is what Lionsgate wants to really dive into and once again rule the horror genre, then I really think one of the things they need to jump on as a fan of the franchise and just a fan of the horror genre as well. The Saw franchise is perfect for this day and age. I think that's one of the reasons that Jigsaw did so well. You can talk about being a huge delay from one sequel to another and fan interest building up over the years and everything else like that, but Jigsaw to me was always that cathartic release. Seeing people who deserve to get mutilated or something like that, whether that's gross or inappropriate or not, seeing that from film to film was always very nice for me. It's like, okay, yeah, like there's something that I can gravitate towards and actually grab onto. This is something I think is really resonating with people, where the people who deserve to get hurt are the people who are getting hurt. And me as a good person, or whoever you want to see yourself as a good person, you don't deserve to get hurt. You wouldn't be put in these traps. It's not inherently scary. Oh, I'm not going to be the person who is going to be tested in one way or the other, but these people will be, and I get to cathartically watch them as they get mutilated or tested for their own rights. And that's what I think that the Saw franchise can bring to Lionsgate, is if they want to actually bring back the horror genre to their lineup. I don't think they need it, and that's my biggest issue here, is that Lionsgate, even though it's not the most profitable studio ever, they really kind of got away from the horror genre. It's what really they built their whole empire on, with the Saw franchise, even with a lot of other small budgeted franchise. But if it is one of the most dominant and most profitable things to do right now, and the fact that they have a broad catalog doing it and a really defined history doing the horror genre stuff, then I can definitely see why they're going to be pivoting to that in the future, especially when it doesn't seem to be slowing down. So like I said, I don't think that this means a whole lot. It's not a confirmation one way or the other that we're going to be getting a Jigsaw 2 anytime in the future, but I feel with all the various news reports we've seen about Jigsaw 2 and the future of Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures' relationship with the Saw franchise, it seems like they're going to be doing a 9th film sooner rather than later. It really feels like they're actually working on it right now, despite the fact that we don't have any official confirmation. And I think Lionsgate, as smart as they've been throughout their entire existence, if they want to get into the horror genre again, if they want to dominate the horror genre, then they know firsthand that the first thing they need to do is once again pre-establish the Saw franchise as their most prolific horror movie iconic franchise in their entire library. So hopefully this gives anyone looking forward to Jigsaw 2 and or Saw 9, whatever we're going to call it, some cathartic release. Oh man, yes, this kind of is a confirmation about this movie coming in sometime in the future. It's not a legitimate confirmation, but I would be shocked if it's not the very first thing on their plate and the thing they're talking about every single day. How do we get another Jigsaw movie into theaters? So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.